roundup, y'all.
Alright, we back.
The roundup. Today we have jmclean joining us.
We're about to talk that political school power.
We look forward to this discussion. Totally look forward to this discussion. Gives us life. We love talking about the youth.
Alright, here we go. We about to start it
Definitely do so. Without further ado.
There we go. There we go. You guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
It sounds
Yeah,
better.
so a lot better. And I can actually see the visual now. I don't know what was happening before. My daughter kind of called in and then all of a sudden the sound went. I was like, are they hearing me?
I'm like, I'm not hearing us. This is a good one. So
Yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot that we go through as a school, and people don't see it. They don't see it because good leaders, they make sure that their school communities don't feel it. You know what I'm saying? We will go out of our way to make sure that our scholars have what they need, our families have what they need. So like I said, good leaders make sure that their communities don't feel it. And the only thing that I could ask is that as a people, we start to educate our kids on some of the things that they're lacking. And all of that has to start from home, and it has to start from the primary grades in elementary school, because by the time we get them in middle school, that trauma has just been a layer on top of a layer on top of a layer. And by the time we get to middle school, it's even harder to educate a child. And a lot of the times, and now it's the new whole no child left behind, and they get pushed forward. But Johnny's in middle school and he still can't read. How is that possible?
So you think this no child left behind thing was a bad idea, or are you partially for it? What's your take on that?
I think that my take on it is the way that they're using assessments. I may date myself. I'm 44 years old, but I know when I was going to school and we took our state exams didn't determine whether we got held back or not. Our state exams determined what classroom we were going into. So if we scored very low, we went the following year, but we went into that low class. Everybody knew the low, middle, high class. We went into that lower class where we were all like homogeneously grouped, and we all learned what we needed to learn to take us to the next level, and then things started to change. As the year progressed, we started to change from those students that scored very low to students who were in the middle or scoring a lot higher, but we were homogeneously grouped and, taught whatever it was that we were lacking, some of the basic fundamentals. But now, the state exam is like, you fail it, but you go to summer school, you complete a portfolio, everything that you learned for 10 months in a matter of like 6 to 8 weeks. You put it together and you move forward. How did that help Johnny? How did that help him? I don't understand that. So kids are just moving to the next grade, and then a lot more of our children are being labeled. They got an issue, special education. They're hyper, special education. They're coming reading, special education. No, figure out what's wrong with the child.
He had a question. Go ahead. All right. So now with respect to that, do you find that schools are taking it upon themselves to put these children to label the children without the consent of the parent, or do you find that these parents are not involved, really don't know what's going on with their children? The children are just being classified as having ADHD. You need special education. They just throwing them in those classes without the parents knowing.
I think that a lot of the times the educators can't place the child in unless there's like a severe neglect of, from the household, where we then have to, go to the higher ups and make the decisions. But a lot of the times it's the parents' lack of knowing. You can't just agree for your child to go into special education. You need to understand that everything works from least restrictive services. So you should be able to say, well, you know what, instead of my child, going into a special education class that's a ICT, or a ICT is where you have like a 60-40 split, where you have general education and special education together, or you have a self-contained class, which can be a 12 1-to-1, meaning 12 students, one teacher, one classroom para, or it can be a 6 1-to-1, 6 students, depending on the severity of it. But before you even get there, you could just ask for basic AIS services, which is basically intervention services. Johnny needs help in ELA, then can I get these services where he can get the extra help without him going into a special education class? So I really think that is the lack of parents knowing, and it's also the responsibility of the educator that is trying to do the referral to make sure that they provide all this information to the parent so that the parent can make an informed decision. Sometimes some children going into special education, there's certain funds that come with it. So some parents are eager for that fund instead of what's best for their child. So that lack of education, and it's scary because our generation and the generation before ours, there's that like 75% group that just is not involved. They just want to know that Johnny passed the class, Johnny's not fighting, and that's it. There's no other questions coming. Like when you go to a parent-teacher conference, go with a notepad. Take notes. See what your child needs. Get them the assistance they need. Look for the community CBO programs that offer tutoring service. Look for the high school kids that are trying to make a little bit of a dollar, and want to tutor your child. Go to your local library where they do tutoring services for free. Like, it's just that lack of knowing what's out in our communities, what special education means, and what you can get for your child before your child gets there. Because a lot of our children don't need to be in a special ed class. Like, there's other things that can be done first before. Now, those things don't work, we then reevaluate the situation and see what Johnny needs. Johnny might be acting up because something is going on at home and you're not telling us the truth about everything. You might have split up with mom or split up with dad, or Johnny eats grandma, or there's some type of abuse happening. That's why Johnny's acting up. That's why Johnny can't focus. I have kids that come from the shelter system. That means that there is no mom and dad there. They are bused from the shelter. They tell us how they're tired. They have to wait for a bed. So that's why when they come to school, they sleep, because they've been waiting for a bed all night. They are hungry. They're starving. And they get bused in and out. So it's so much that's happening with our Black and brown communities, and the lack of education, not only from just parents that just don't know, but unfortunately, there's a large number that just does not care.
So my question is, how are they virtualizing the IEPs, the students that have the individualized education plans? How are they virtualizing that?
Well, we still, those scholars still have their special education teachers. They still work with their one-to-one paras for those that have a one-to-one para. The classroom paras are still involved. They do more wellness checks than they've done when they were in school, to make sure that the child is on point, whatever the child needs help with, whatever the child is frustrated about. It is constant communication with the parent, with the caseworker, with the guidance counselors. Guidance counselors are still talking to the kids, and that's the schools that have them. Some schools have lost them. When this pandemic hit, a couple of counselors lost their jobs. So
I have to
that's crazy.
This because it's so funny. He would say, my husband will always talk about, how the schools will receive, how the professionals in the school will receive students, and just the treatment. Just how right. Sometimes you may not need to be all teacher. You need to be. You can be all right.
You need to be human. You need to be human first. This job, and I tell people all the time, if you don't like kids, then I'm sorry, you don't need to be a teacher. If you don't have patience, you don't need to be a teacher. And if you can't look past the color of that child and just realize that that's a child, you don't need to be a teacher. So those are the things that come with this job. Yes, we get frustrated. Do kids spit at us? Yes. Do they bite us? Yes. Do they throw stuff at us? Yes. Do they charge at us? Yes. Do they assault us with weapons and whatever they call? Yes. But at the end of the day, they're kids. So we have to find ways to get through to them, even when all of that is happening.
I got a question.
Because it's like a parent. If the child is coming at you, yeah, we want to beat their behind, but at the end of the day, you still have to figure out what's making them act like that. Because I can't have my kid, growing up angry. Like, what's going on?
Okay, I got a question, because you see, like, now we see like so many kids are graduating. Like, every kid is like, their plan is at least go to college, and some of them, they just pushing them through. They just be able to push through. So obviously, high school diploma education isn't worth what it was worth at one point in time. The requirements. So is it now that when they finally get to college, that now they're met with the first time where they won't get a pass for education? So we're now they're at a point to where they're paying to go to school and they too far behind to actually catch up. So
and it's true. Yes. And that first encounter is where some kids you can either make or break the rest of their educational career. So if children are not prepped ahead of time from their high school counselors and their high school advisement and their educators, some of them, that college fair, that first semester, they're going to run. I have a 17-year-old, just graduated high school. He's in his first semester of college, and he's understanding like, yo, this is no joke. Like, what is this? I don't understand this. This is a real going into that manhood, like having to take care of yourself and understand what this really means to be educated. So a lot of scholars in that those high school years are imperative in not only educating them and trying to catch them up, but in building personal relationships with them and understanding what personal communication actually means. Because there's no longer that educator that's watching you 24/7 that has your back for 10 months. You end up going into college and you actually do become your ID number. You become your ID number.
Do you see the kids today focusing on realistic goals, or like they trying to do things like you have kids that say, oh, I want to be an attorney, I want to be a doctor, or are they hitting you with real life-term goals? Like, I'm going to college and I want to be this.
I'm going to say this, there is that 50% population. It is 50-50 where you have the ones that have those realistic goals, and it's because you have the parents that are steering that wheel at home. They're introducing them to different occupations. They're exposing them to a variety of things, not only within their communities, but outside, because there's so many of our students that don't even leave their own communities. When you take them on a trip and you go across Brooklyn Bridge or the Manhattan Bridge, they're like, we left New York. Like, they don't even know that little trip across. Many of them have probably been to Manhattan, but by train, and not across a bridge. So they don't understand, like, wait, no, when you cross the bridge, you're still in New York. We're still teaching in middle school and sometimes in high school the 5 boroughs, because kids have not left Brooklyn ever, or they have not left East New York or Bed-Stuy or Crown Heights or Brownsville, particular neighborhoods, and you're trying to teach them that. So you have 50% that are saying that, and then the other 50%, they're lost in what these some of these celebrities, and I'm going to say some, not all, what some of these celebrity painted as reality. And we have to go through the whole, some of these celebrities rent their cars, right? Or rent their jewelry, right? Or rent their house, right? That's not really theirs. And we have to push past that whole facade before they can understand, like,
That's
they're
hard
not,
to do.
all of them aren't really living like that.
Very hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's unfortunate because some of their parents are living that life.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're like, well, the celebrity is living it and mom and dad is living it, then it must be true.
That's why I said they need to take the executives from the marketing team, from record labels, and make them a part of the school system for it'll work in a year.
Yes, I've been very big on talking about bringing financial literacy to our schools. I think that it's something that is needed. Generational wealth, having our children learn about that from a young age. There are banks like Citibank, US Bank, Chase that do youth programs. There are financial advisors that also do youth programs that are willing to come into schools and talk to children. Just like Home Depot has their little thing on the weekend where the kids can go and build things and learn how to build with their hands. There are banks that have youth programs that teach children about how to work with their money. My son is, a Forex trader. He's been with Forex for a while now, and he's learning all about currency and day trading. Ask me what he's saying. I have no clue about what that is.
My son interested in that. That's what he want to get into.
Well, you could definitely link up with my son. He is on there. Jaden De Niro is his Instagram, and all he does is Forex. And he also does his Money Made brand shirts. So it's all about learning the mighty dollar and how to make the dollar work for you. Because at the end of the day, as a Black and brown community, if we have not figured out that money is what makes the world turn, then we're going to still be sitting back for a while as the rest of the nation continues to move forward. Because I understand that we've gone through things, and I understand, there was a period in time with slavery. I'm Hispanic. So when I came to this country is where I first started to learn about racism. As a Hispanic person, like, we more focus on social classes, lower class, middle class, upper class. We looked at wealth and what wealth did. It wasn't until I came to this country that people were concerned about the color of the skin. And I didn't understand that. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Well, are they broke? Or they don't have money? And then I started to connect it with, oh, okay, so that's what this means here. Okay, but it's not good. You shouldn't look at a person's color of their skin. And I started to have to learn about that. I started to, read the Willie Lynch letter, and I started to read a lot of things around Frederick Douglass. I started to read The Miseducation of a Negro, by Carter Woodson, and start to learn about all of the indoctrinations that cause us to believe and think the way that we do. But at some point, all of the bullshit, like I always say with number 45, he didn't incite racism. He didn't incite racism. He just made people comfortable enough to show it. It's always been there. He just made them comfortable enough to show their behinds and say what they want to say and do what they want to do, because he does it and he gets away with it. So if I'm seeing the I don't call him the president, but if I'm seeing the leader of the country getting away with doing what he wants to do, then I'm going to do it too if I'm like-minded. Mm-hmm. So as a Black and brown community, we have to start getting like-minded. Like I just posted when I came on and I heard what you were talking about with Juve. I was like, we're in a pandemic, right? So why in the world did you think that Juve was okay when they're saying that the majority of the people dying are Black and brown communities? Like, is partying your priority? And then on top of it, we ask about defunding law enforcement, and we're talking about the way that they treat us, but then we go out there and we're killing each other. And I don't care what nobody says, Black on Black crime exists.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad you touched on that, right? I'm glad you touched on that. With this is I don't care I don't care what nobody say. Influence is the #1 contributor to our mind state right now. It may have always been in the past, but in today's world, it is. Like, what Donald Trump saying, I don't wear masks, majority of the people in the country feel like they shouldn't have to wear masks now.
Exactly.
When you look at our youth, when you look at today's generation, when you look at from 30 down, they are today's world, 45 and down. They are high. The media, TV shows, the music, it's telling them how to live. And that's the only cool way to live. If you take them outside of that, it's everything seems to be too difficult to learn, not worth going through it. They have to go. Mind you, a woman to be a stripper, a man to be a drug dealer for 15 years of their life. They'll go through all type of trials and tribulations, being shot, being raped, being robbed, set up, kidnapped, being tortured, and they'll get to the bag, get to the end goal, and they'll take that with pride. They'll label themselves the streets, and I moved on. And they'll go, it's not a problem. If you take them outside that environment, you put that same hustle into a business managing class for 4 years, you can't get through it because of the rules and how everything is. And no rapper there's no verse he can put on his way to class that'll motivate him to stay there. There's no rapper. Jay-Z is not saying, yo, today in class, you might get bored, but if you do, remember this, burn the spliff after. Nobody's saying anything about that. Maybe
exactly.
Now talking about college. Some girls is like, oh, no, I strip and I go to college too. They taking pride in it. Oh, I want everybody to know I'm a stripper and I go to school.
And if you think about when we were growing up, you know, a lot of the rappers were lyricists. They were storytellers. You had, you know, Slick Rick and all of them. Like, they were storytellers. They were lyricists. They were teaching Nas. They were like dropping jewels. And you were like, wow, you know what he said, yo, that hit home. Like, I need to do that. That's not what's happening right now.
Think about that.
And you're absolutely right, because it is all about influence, and the celebrities and the athletes and everybody have that responsibility, because these youths are watching. Yeah. They're watching. Just like when we were little and we were listening to Nas and we were listening to Slick Rick, and we were, you know, when I first heard Children's Story, and I was like, he was only 17 in a madman's dream. The cop shot the kid just to hear him scream. And I'm sitting here now like, whoo, like he was preaching this then. These are the things that the child was doing then. But even in that song, that child had enough sense to say, when he stated he had the automatic and he let the pregnant lady go. Now it's like, nope, I'm gonna shoot her and I'm gonna still try to get away, but I'm gonna get gunned down.
Because you know what?
It's like, and you're absolutely right. Like, we're not being influenced. The celebrities have lost their ground for influencing our youth in regards to making things better.
It's our fault. It's the consumer's fault. I don't blame the celebrities. We know what our stand is for what we're willing to accept. We said we love Michael Jackson, and then they brought us another guy that said he can't dance, so we'll put people behind him that can dance. He can't really sing. We're bringing other people that can sing. He can't do none of the things Michael can do, but he looks good. We'll put him there, and then we just said, okay, well, we like him. We like that song.
And you're right. And you're right.
We no matter who they put in front of us, we the ones who decide if they're cool or not. We say,
and you're right.
Now we're cool on you. We'll take Meek Mill. So Meek be like, okay, it's me. I'm the one. They love me. And it's like we choosing all of these people. They've been throwing Tekashi at us for 3 years. Take him. And we're like, no, we don't want him. We don't want him. And they're trying. But the other rappers are like, take him. And we're like, all right, you come over, you come over, you come over. Even though some have the same trait as a Tekashi. We see differently. We look at Tekashi and we say, oh, we see through that. The other ones, not so much.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not sure what that is, but it's glamory, so let's just bring it in.
And you're right, because it is our responsibility, but that once again goes back to us being informed. to being informed, and what is it that we will and will not allow for our children to be exposed to. And a lot of people, like I said, they're just so hip into it, like they're not even realizing, you know. And my husband and I, we talk about it all the time, where they talk about the fact of they're killing this and they're killing that and they're slaying this. You know, they're saying these in the songs, but then they're going and going to a school and it's like, stay in school. But look at what you're singing about. Look at what you're telling them. You're telling the girls to shake this and shake that, and you know, I love Cardi B, because outside of her music, you know, I love the fact that she's just a real person that speaks her mind. But when I listen to her music, I'm like, but what are you saying for individuals like your own daughter?
Because see, she's speaking her reality. That's the thing. This is what people don't realize about Cardi B. It's okay for Cardi B to if Cardi B says, yo, at a time like now, it's a black empowerment movement. We're asking for women to be protected and to be looked at in a certain light. She said, all right, I'm gonna drop a song. Why? That's cool, because in her reality, she's like, yo, I'm from the Bronx. This is where I lived. I grew up like this. I made my money all my life like this. Now I'm an entertainer. This is how I feel about it. That's cool. But we make that a #1 song by saying, yo, I love WAP. I want to, because that shows the people behind the scene and say, look how many people came to the march. Look how many people showed up for this. Now look how many people listen to WAP. They don't care about the powers and the numbers. The people care about WAP. I'm going to push it. And all that may say, you know, I would have donated some money to a school, but majority of the people don't care about school. Because look at the internet posts about school. They don't look at the engagement. There's 15 million people that engaged. Now look at WAP. There's 175 million people. The last
exactly.
I'm gonna put my money into this because I'm sure that I'll get some back out of it. And that's
exactly.
It's our fault. We can't. But you can't say Jay-Z shouldn't have said that. Snoop shouldn't have called her a bitch. That's your daughter. That's their daughter. If Snoop said, "Yo," he called him bitch. Yo, we ain't watching TV in my house.
Exactly.
But bullshit. Ain't no TV in my house.
Exactly. So that
I gotta go somewhere to watch it. They understand that it's not okay. I gotta go somewhere else to break through. That alone helps. It helps a lot. That alone. If you let your daughter listen to Cardi B, you can't be upset when she says.
From the education standpoint, I just need people to get more informed about what they can do, what they can't do. I need people they need to rally up to the chancellor's office, you know, to the DOE, Department of DOE, and, you know, say, give back some of that money to our schools, you know, hire the proper individuals. Because like you said, crisis counselors, they're not your basic counselors. These counselors are coming in, you know, with something completely different from your basic guidance counselor. So there's just a lot of work left to be done. There's a lot of work that's left to be done. And as a community, we have to start outreaching and teaching our own, you know, about that work, about where we came from, where we going. We need to start bringing back those, like we said earlier, those realistic goals of things that you can actually do. We need to things.
Right? I believe even with the counselors, we need real counselors. Like some people, you got some young black men, they've been through trauma. They may have lost a parent, they may have been shot, people may have been killed, but they don't deal with it the same way that a person that they would assume that a person that's been through this much would deal with. This person may have shield, an invisible shield. They may move properly, but they damage just because of their mentality, the way they speak. And if nobody can, like, if you don't have a person that can understand that walk of life, you can tell them everything that a New York State book tells you to go through with this kid. He don't meet the criteria. Kids in the ghetto today, they don't meet the criteria of emotionally hurt. This girl has been raped, but she don't want, like, she get dressed every day. She still got self-esteem.
And the thing is, everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about it because our kids, they don't, they, you know, back in the day, we dissed each other. You stupid, your mama ugly. Like that was our diss back then. Now it's like, that's why your uncle raped your sister. And that's why, and I'm sitting there like, what in the world? Like, you don't say something like that. So the kids, and they all know it. They walk over those chalk lines in their hallways like it's everyday, normal business. That's why your brother threw your aunt off the roof. Like, what the world? You know, and this is what the kids are dealing with, and everybody knows about it. Their whole community, all their peers, all their friends, and they come to school and they just angry. They're mad. They're angry. They don't want to learn. They're like, screw you. I don't want to hear this. Like, tell me how to get my mom to come home and get off of Glenwood, you know, because she be there all day.
Me and my wife have these discussions all the time, right? She don't always agree with me on what I believe. I believe that we need to stop certain children shouldn't be allowed to have children. I think you should have to meet some type of requirement, some type of standard of living before you can have a child. I think that everybody that has a child, until that child is 18, you are legally responsible for any of their actions. If your kid wants to go on Walmart, that's cool. But the police are coming and we're looking for you, not your child.
What I think should happen, is there should be an extension. I don't, you know, my oldest is 23, my youngest is 17, but there should be an extension of whatever those parenting classes look like. I don't know what they look like today. I don't even know if they're still around, you know, but I know when I had my children, they taught us about the WIC, and then we had these parenting class that we had to come to. It was mandatory, or they were gonna like get ACS at us because we were neglectful. But we learned how to breastfeed. We learned whatever it was as a parent, and we did it until the first year of life for the child. So I don't know what that looks like now, but those parenting classes need to be extended so that some of these parents can learn how to be parents, and they need to extend what's in the community for the parents to utilize and to learn about. You don't have time for Johnny? Take Johnny to the library. There's reading programs, there's story time. Just take him to the library. Even if you want to sit there for an hour and come back for him, story time is happening.
I don't believe most parents, when I speak for the parent, I'm thinking about from the ghetto, from the hoods. I don't think majority of the people want to be parents. They didn't have a child with the intention of, I want to have a child. I'm looking forward to this. I think most had a baby. I got pregnant.
It was a mistake, and it's unfortunate.
I'm keeping it because it is, for whatever reason. I think majority of men, they said, hey, I'm having a kid. Depending on how the girl felt about it, how the girl felt about it, that's how they felt about it. So I don't think that it's like, especially when it comes down to being a father. Some men in the ghetto, they don't put the responsibility into being a father. Right now, so there's so much emphasis on black men and doing this and that. They're like, you know, let me go pick up my kid and take him to the park. Other than that, besides the girl, his baby mother, the women in his family probably, hey, go get your kid, you need to do this. But he like, what? I'm going to get this money. What I'm gonna do with my kid while I'm making money? How I'm gonna show him? Like, I ain't got time for that. That's entertaining. Even mothers,
they normally drop them off somewhere.
The mothers are saying, I'm going out this weekend. That even though your daughter she want to tell you so much about her life right now. Ma, I got this going on in school. Ma, look, I want to tell you this. I want to be this. You still, okay, baby, tell me tomorrow. I'm going to the club. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like you don't really want to be a parent, because if you did, you would be like, damn, you got so much energy. I was about to go out, but I ended up talking to my daughter until like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, because that's why I feel like that should be extended, because you know that in Sweden? In Sweden, the mother is paid to homeschool her child for the first couple of years
Yeah.
And there is a social worker that comes to the house every month to do the check, to make sure that the child is being educated, the home is clean, because they're paying you. Like the nation is paying you to stay home and do this. So there's no preschool daycare. No, you are the daycare. And I'm going to pay you to run this learning program for your child and maintain your household, and I'm coming and check on you. And I'm like, when I heard about that from my friend, because she's from Sweden, and I said, what the world? America needs some of that. That would work a lot.
You know,
That would be wonderful. So I don't know, but
I think it's just a definitely just a complete like just a evaluation of all of the services that we have, because we do have some really great services available that just don't get any light, and it don't get any light because the efficacy of the program. So those programs don't get light. And you have the programs that are just like grassroots right now trying to come up. So I'm sure that we should have something coming down the pipeline from many different aspects, because what's happening is everybody wants to throw money and approval for Black people. So there's so much money out there right now that, if you write a grant right now, the chances of you getting the funding is highly likely, because everybody is looking for somebody to latch on to say, hey, I've donated to this Black organization. So I agree with you. Definitely need, this counseling, and we need the crisis stuff to happen, sooner rather than later. And I think it should really start before they start to introduce this online learning, because this whole new way of asking the children to adjust in a way that they're not used to adjusting, and them to, focus on what's in front of them in a computer and disregard what's the imminent behind them possibly.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's unfortunate because it's more of us than not. It's more of us than not that need that. And I don't know. It's the parents, like we all said, and we spoke about the parents. They have to want that, because if they don't want it to happen, it's not going to be effective. No matter how much the school put forth a really comprehensive virtual program for the students, if the parents are not sitting there making sure that the children are in an environment, like I have to be quiet. I know this is my house, and I know I pay bills in here, and I know I normally do X, Y, Z while the kids are asking. I have to have enough respect to be quiet, because the kids have to focus and stuff like that. Do we have enough parents that's disciplined to do that? They can't.
We used to have some of our kids like doing it in the closet because they didn't want the noise. When I actually, as an AP, would have a class with my kids, and it was just like a wellness class. Check in. I would introduce them like to my daughter, teach them how to make like avocado toast, and teach them how to do the old school beat, making beats with the record player, because they created like a virtual record player on the hiphop.com network. So I would always tell them, guys, I need your camera to face a wall. So when you're sitting, I need you to face a wall, because the things that you would see walking behind these poor babies. I'm like, Mom, you don't have on no clothes, right? Like, why would you walk across in your bra and this child is in, you just added to the trauma that this child is about to be teased about, that your mom is walking across the screen with her bra, or dad is in his boxers, so it's a lot that we did have to go through in regards to making sure that our children understood what this virtual platform was. But you had to teach them, this is what you do, this is how you set up your computer, make sure that this is not happening around you. Some of them would not want to come on because they was like, it's just too much noise, I can't do it. So it's a lot. And coming back this year, the first thing that they told us to focus on is to make sure that we're doing wellness checks and social emotional practices with our children. Just how are you doing? How is everything? For any of them that need to speak to us privately, let them know that we have office hours and that they can come in on a Zoom session with us. We have, for schools that have deans, guidance counselors, attendance coordinators. We have those individuals that are checking in with the scholars. We pinpoint our target groups of scholars that we know that we could lose them. They're not going to come on this and it's a wrap. We're not going to find them again. So we have our guidance counselors, our deans, our attendance coordinators constantly checking on them. We have attendance coordinators that do home visits, that are just knocking the door like, I just need to see Johnny. I just need to see him, like for today, like to know that he's in your house, you know, that he's not at Highland Park or something, you know, getting into things with the Latin Kings and stuff. We have our gang prevention units that are, you know, connecting with our kids and calling, making sure that they're okay and they're staying off the streets and they're staying safe. We have restorative justice within our schools that are dealing with conflict resolution problems, teaching kids how to kind of, like we said, deal with things with those words. You don't have to pull out a weapon. You don't have to pull out a knife, because these are the conversations that the kids will have. Like, yo, I'd go home, get my gun and shoot them. No, let's talk about this. It's a different way around this. So just going back to those old school methods, so all of these things have been put in place in our schools. And our focus for this year is in the beginning. These are the things that we have to tackle with our kids. We have to deal with that first, because like I said, we have to push past the trauma before we can try to provide any instruction, because there's no instruction that's going to happen. So, and I have the talk with my daughter, and I tell her, you know, it's like trying to talk to somebody that's hungry. That person not paying attention to you, because all they're going to be like, yo, when we going to eat? Once I got something to eat, then I'm going to be able to hear what you're saying, or I'm gonna work with you. But right now, I just need to get something in my stomach. After I eat, we good. Same thing with our kids. Once you can push past what's going on with them, they'll be willing to learn for you. But they have to know that you care, because maybe nobody else in their atmosphere does.
Right. Okay, I got a question, right? Because even how much time and how is the teachers taking to the online learning? Like, y'all had to learn the system.
Let me tell you, we were thrown into that. The minute the pandemic hit and it was like virtual, we were thrown into it. So as administrators, the first thing we had to do is make sure that whenever because we have what's called professional development periods. So whenever those periods happen, we had to teach them as much as we could. Here we're learning Nearpod today. We're learning Google Classrooms. Say it again.
Professional development at school?
No, professional development is once a week for 80 minutes. Yeah, it's once a week for 80 minutes. And we taught them whatever we can. We also gave them links for them to attend some of the workshops on their own during their free time. Some schools have what's called coaches. So those learning coaches set up like, I will be teaching this at this time. If you're interested in learning it, join the class and I'll teach you. And teachers were like signing up.
Did anyone, like I said, like if a teacher's having a difficult time with it, is there anyone she can reach out or someone personally come and show her or show him how?
They're not going to personally come over, but we'll do the screen share. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're on Zoom with me. I share my screen. I'm going to show you step by step. I provided like a remote learning drive in our Google Drive. So they click on the links. There's videos with step by step. Our teachers have created step by step videos. We have some educators that know it really well. And they were like, I'll do a class with the other teachers that want to learn. So we were thrown into it. And when I say like we had to become family during that time so that we can learn. And luckily, I can say from my school, I was blessed because I have a very young staff. So I was blessed to have a crew that was tech savvy and understood it. But I'm thinking about other schools with those veteran teachers that may not be as tech savvy. You know, some teachers, I remember, you know, working with a veteran team, it's like, how you turn the computer on? Like, where's the power button? So it was difficult. And the city did offer some classes that educators joined, but they learned a little bit more from their peers, you know, working in the building with them. and they just collaborated. They collaborated. Like we had to come together like no other time. Like if we worked as a family, this was the time right here, and we learned what our strengths and our weaknesses were during this period, and we took all of those areas of growth and all of those areas of weaknesses, and we just started to develop plans on making it better, whatever it was. So by the time the year ended, my teachers were very well versed in a lot of the other the technology that was there to make learning engaging. Like they learned how to make the Bitmojis, you know, they learned how to make it interactive. They learned how to break the kids into like breakout rooms so they could have small group partner learning and not have to be with the whole class. So, you know, we were blessed. A lot of other schools had the blessings too, but then there were some that they're still struggling. They still don't understand this virtual platform. On our website, you know, we put videos for our parents, like, you know, a parent navigating through Google Classroom. This is how you do it. And you've got a little bit more teaching them step by step. This is how you look for your child's grades. This is how you go on Pupil Path and look at your child's report card. Like we have to make sure that not only were we educating our teachers and our scholars how to do this virtually, but we had to teach our parents. Our parents had, many of them, no clue how to go on the computers. We had to teach them how to change the translation button to the language that they speak so that they didn't feel that deficit of, yeah, this is a great video, but I don't know what they're saying. So it took a lot that the city didn't do for us. Mm-hmm. But one thing about educators, we're creatives all day. That is our craft, that is our art. So we just had to be as creative as possible, because at the end of the day, it's all about our kids. And however we had to reach our kids, whether it was developing our teachers or developing our families, we just had to do it because it was about our kids.
I'm also thinking about the, you know, how some schools are, you know, they have a core, they have, you know, the basics that the school, but like you said, you have a younger staff, so you're a lot more innovative to really get things done and appeal to the students. Do you think there's a discernment between the age and the staffing, the age of the principals, race, and things of that nature, and how they deliver the information? Because although it's a core curriculum, the delivery of that information is different depending on. So can you go on that?
Definitely. And basic, you know, that's anywhere. So if you're in a corporate place and you have, you know, old Johnny that believes in old school methods and just lectures, and I'll put it like this: college, you're in a lecture hall. There's 100 of you sitting in that auditorium. And that teacher, if you've ever seen the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, is like Bueller, and you're like, oh my God, kill me now. I need to leave this class, I'm bored. And then you have that teacher that comes and is like, hey guys, what's going on? Today we're gonna be learning, open up your books. They show you all these visuals and these videos and the presentation. They make you do hands-on, they partner you up. That's in any workplace that you go to. And it can be an older person, because an older person can outshine a younger staff member. If they just are that person that has that energy, they just have that energy. Sometimes I'll go in and my staff will look at me like I'm crazy because I'm coming in like just partying. They're like, why? Why do you have that energy at this time of the morning? I was like, why don't I? And they're like, we can't stand you. Like, why are you so excited? We didn't even get our coffee yet. I'm like, man, God woke me up today. I'm good. So it really all depends on the individual. Sometimes it's not even about age. So you can have the person that's boring. You can have the young person that's boring. You can have the older person that's lit. You know, you can have it all depends on who the individual are and how they present themselves. You can have individuals even within your own family that they come to all the family functions and you are running away from trying to engage in a conversation with them because you know that conversation, you're going to be there like, somebody help me, please save me, come over and get me. Huh? You call me what? Same thing in the school system.
But this was definitely good. That was all the questions I have for right now. You have any more questions? Any more questions?
And like you said, they saying that private schools aren't opening. They're not giving the option to come back in.
Yeah, I never know with private, Catholic schools, private schools, charter schools. They are a completely different beast from the city schools. I have no idea. Private schools, some of them are also smaller in number. And some of their fundings, their facilities may be larger, or they might have things that we don't have where they can do certain things. They get funded a certain way. But, city schools, we're sitting with 30-something kids in one class. We don't have that privilege. I could be in a charter school, Catholic school, private building, and I have, 15, 20 kids in my class. I could space them out. But when I got 32 in each class, out of 18 classes or 20 classes, yeah, we can't do all of that. So I don't know. Private schools are definitely different. City and state schools are different. I'm in Long Island, so I'm not part of New York City for the school districts. I'm part of New York State, but I work in a New York City school district. So I truck out to Brooklyn every day. And the way that the state and the city work, they're different completely in what they do. Like, in Long Island, the schools out here look like colleges. They have football field and yard. They don't share, their schools don't share with stores or houses. Like, they own blocks after blocks after blocks. They have swimming pools and gyms and auditoriums and fields like you go into a college, and this is at elementary level.
Okay. The high school curriculum, they choose from
yeah,
college catalog.
exactly. Their middle school, their schools here are from pre-K to 6, and then from 7 you go from 7 to 12. So your middle school and your high school are together in a building. So to make sure to separate them, that's why they got these huge college-looking campuses, to make sure that they're fully celebrated. I remember when I first came out here, I wasn't comfortable with that. I'm like, my son going to school with these big old kids. What is this? I can't do this. But I had to adjust. But the way that they work out here is completely different from the city schools. So every time the city said something, I had to wait to see what the state was saying, because the rules didn't apply. When the parents were getting $420 for food voucher, the state didn't give that to the kids. And I was like, what the heck? I could use 420. Boy eats everything in one day. I go grocery shopping a day and it's done by tomorrow. He's 6'3", 177 pounds. That's a big kid.
Oh my God. So we got a whole roommate over here now. The boy that went from a child to a whole roommate.
Exactly.
So I want to ask you, what's one of the things that you see like in the school system that was implemented and it seems to be working? Like this right here, when we do this, this helps. This works.
I will say when they kicked off the restorative justice, which is the conflict resolution, if every school does that accordingly, it can work. Because many of our kids have come to the point where they can talk things out when they're taught how. They have to be taught how to talk things out. So if schools are doing it correctly, that could work. Also, my school is big on meditation and mindfulness. Every morning when the kids come in, the first thing that they do for the first 15 minutes is have a moment of mindfulness, talk about positive vibes, and then they meditate. So whatever they came in the building with, all of that gets alleviated early in the morning. And before they leave that space, we tell them, is there anything in addition that you cannot get off your chest, or you still have that burden on? Come see us, come see the deans, or come see the restorative justice coordinator, talk to them before you go to your first class. Because like I said, if we don't push through that, that child is not going to learn. They're going to carry that anger all day. So I know that Eric Adams, our school is they're the hub for teaching mindfulness and meditation. So he has had us come to City Hall several times and do meditation sessions. He's had us teach other schools. So I see that some schools are trying to implement it, but they don't implement it as effectively. Like it has to be like a possible, like a visit, like come see it in action. Like we can teach you it, but you have to implement it accordingly. So mindfulness and meditation works because kids need that. They need to woo-saw before they can learn. And even if it's done in the classrooms, as you enter the classroom for the first 5 minutes, let's do a session of mindfulness. Like, let's just meditate for a little bit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not an easy task. Mm-hmm. It's not. So for instance, I'll do it with you guys. We're going to do 1 minute, only 1 minute of mindfulness. Here are the rules. You're going to put your feet flat on the ground. You're going to sit up. You can choose to put your hands on your knees facing down or facing up, depending on how you want to feel your energy. Your fingers, your toes should not move during this whole 1 minute period. You should not be moving your tongue inside of your mouth. You should not be, doing your whole moving of your teeth, nothing. And I need you to just go completely blank. I'm going to talk you through it, and I need you to focus just on what I'm saying without movement. The minute you notice that you've done a movement, you have to open your eyes because you've broken your minute of mindfulness. Okay? All right. So first, you're going to close your eyes. You're going to take a very deep breath in, and you're going to hold it and then let it go. You're going to take another deep breath in through your nose, very deep that your chest rises. Hold it. Let it go slowly through your mouth. You're going to follow that same deep breath again in through your nose. You're going to hold it. Let it out through your mouth. I want you to think about all of the things that cause a burden on your shoulder. On top of that burden, I want you to feel the blessings that are coming down. Blessings that are coming down and starting to disseminate some of that burden. I want you to feel your heartbeat. You should feel it because the rush of your blood is going throughout your body, and you can feel parts of your body getting very warm. You're feeling safe. You're feeling loved. I want you to speak these affirmations mentally. I am loved in your mind. I am blessed in your mind. And I am favored in your mind. Once again, you're noticing that your hands are becoming very, very heavy on your knees because you are letting go of all of your stress, all of your anxiety. I want you to once again take a very deep breath in, allowing your chest to come to its highest point. Deep breath in, raising your chest as high as possible and letting it go through your mouth. One more time, a deeper breath in, as deep as possible, raising your chest and letting it go through your mouth. As I count you off to slowly open your eyes back, you are going to say in your mind again, I am loved, I am blessed, and I am favored. Slowly open your eyes.
You got me.
That was a good one.
I can do that though.
And that's only 1 minute. We do it for 5.
That's what I want to.